There's nothing more frustrating than feeling like the music you're making isn't living up to what you hear in your head. You start to doubt whether you have what it takes, and it can feel completely overwhelming trying to figure out how to get better. You might even lose heart and stop making music altogether. Now, I've spent 3 decades in the studio working with artists at every level, and in more recent years, I've also been helping producers unlock that music that's trapped inside them. Over that time, I've seen the same patterns come up again and again. I've also learned that while every producer's path is different, the principles that help them move forward are surprisingly universal. So in this video, I'm going to share 13 principles I'd focus on if I genuinely wanted to become a better producer. Because once you can feel yourself improving again, the doubt retreats, the fun returns, and that's when you get the momentum you need to build that deep discography of resonant music that attracts your ideal audience and opportunities. But there's something we need to put in place first to make sure these principles will help you improve as fast as possible. You see, it's normal to think that producing music is about finding the right equipment and software to put in your studio, then learning the right skills and techniques to use in your sessions. And the overlap between those two is where you produce your music, right? Well, this isn't wrong, but it's not the whole picture, because it isn't until you get your studio and your technique working in harmony with your mind that your true potential will begin to emerge. Many of the ideas I'll be sharing here are about unblocking that inner dimension so that music can flow through your mind, your technique and studio, and out into the world. Starting with this lesson, which I learned after working with some of my heroes. Each of them had songs that my friends and I pretty much worshipped as works of genius. But it was shocking to find, consistently, that these artists didn't share the same opinion of their own music at all. So I'd bring up a seminal song, and they would immediately tell me why they were so unhappy with it. Too much reverb on the voice, the lyrics were too simple, the kick drum doesn't quite hit right. None of them were satisfied, and none of them enjoyed their music the way their audience does. And that's when it hits home. Being in the studio, writing and making music yourself, feels completely different to listening to music that you love. Making your own music is a voyage into the unknown, but listening to records you love is like receiving a beautiful gift. So to make sure that you improve as quickly as possible as a producer, don't judge your own work through the same lens that you use to enjoy music as a fan. Releasing this tension is like taking the handbrake off in your car, and it's going to make the rest of your journey so much faster, smoother, and easier. Principle 2. Releasing that judgment is a tangible skill you can develop with this next exercise, which I call preset roulette. It's an incredible way to drain the self-doubt out of your psyche, which creates the mind space that you need to get better faster. I'm going to tell you how to set it up, how to play, and then why it is such an important part of improving again. To start, just make a simple 4-track template in your DAW of choice. The first track is drums. Choose any random instrument with a bunch of sounds or kits you can easily load. Your other 3 tracks will be soft synths or samplers with big preset libraries. It really doesn't matter which instrument you use or whether it's the same or a different instrument on each track. Don't worry about buses or sound effects, you're not going to need them. Now, with your template ready to go, it is time to play preset roulette. It's a simple game with just a couple of rules. The first rule is when you select a track in your template and open your instrument, you'll randomly scroll to any preset without auditioning it. Then you have to write parts using the first sound you load. You're just gonna roll with whatever the hell the universe throws your way. The second rule is that you have to make some kind of arrangement and then print that song wherever you get to after 30 minutes. Try to create a couple of different sections, an intro, an outro, maybe a little half-bar turnaround. You can even make a bridge section if you're feeling sassy. But no matter what, you only have 30 minutes to get as far as possible into making a track with those 4 instruments in your template. Challenge yourself to build the most developed arrangement you can before your time runs out. Okay, there's actually like a third rule which makes preset roulette even better. After you print, you are not allowed to listen to the song for at least a few weeks. Ideally for a few months, if at all, ever. And here's why. When you play preset roulette, you develop this skill of creating without judgment. And this is 10 times more effective when you're not anticipating your work also being judged when you're done. You release the pressure of making the music having to say anything about you. So this creates the space to take more risks, to be more free in the moment, and to channel ideas without filters. You master the sacred ability to stay in motion no matter what. And this is a superpower I've observed in some of the greatest producers on the planet. And it's going to carry you through when you are in real-world sessions with high stakes. So set aside at least an hour a day and do 2 or 3 preset roulette songs back to back for anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. You'll shake out all of your cobwebs and put the foundations in place for your quantum leap forward as a producer. Principle 3. Now that you have the ability to create free of judgment, it's time for the rubber to hit the road on your path to mastery. This was mapped out by psychologist K. Anders Ericsson and his team at Florida State University, who coined the term deliberate practice. It's a simple formula for consistent improvement. Work on highly specific, targeted tasks just beyond your current capabilities. Or in producer talk, work on something you don't quite know how to do in less time than you think you need to do it. You see, one of the biggest reasons we fail to improve is that we're grappling with too big a goal. Like, finish my album is a vague target with an open time frame and endless different tasks involved. But create a fully fleshed out, detailed and dynamic drum arrangement from a blank screen in 55 minutes is a perfect challenge for a session of deliberate practice. Regardless of the task, there are 3 universal rules that I apply to every one of these practice sessions. Number 1, the production task must be specifically defined and tightly focused. Number 2, you must print the arrangement you have at the end of your 55-minute session. And number 3, you must not listen to the results of your session for as long as possible, ideally for months. Now, you're able to develop specific skills that you will use in fully fledged writing and production sessions. But because those skills are being developed outside of your artistic identity or free of that tyranny of judgment, and because you're practicing with a tight endpoint in time, you will improve exponentially faster than trying to develop those skills in the middle of a full production project. Oh, and hey, by the way, every idea here could easily warrant a huge video or hours of discussion. But the goal right now with this video is to actually give you a big picture map of how everything links together. So I'll be keeping things high level. But please do let me know in the comments if there's an idea you'd like me to unpack in a future video. Or if you'd like to work more actively with me to develop as a producer, there's a link below for the ways we can do that together. Principle number 4. So through preset roulette, you've developed the ability to create without judgment. Then with deliberate 55-minute practice sessions, you're sharpening your specific production skills. Now it's time to accelerate your improvement even more. Here's how. At the end of every practice session, just step back for some perspective. Take notes on where you lost the flow or where things felt challenging. Were you struggling to find the right sound? Did your computer crash? Does loading up drums require just a million clicks and menus? Or were you just straight up stumped on what to do next? Next, take the time to imagine a solution for each challenge. Maybe it is sourcing very specific sounds for your library. Maybe it's clearing out extraneous plugins and samples. Maybe it's creating a macro or doing a specific search of your DAW manual about a feature. Talk to a friend or a mentor and ask them what they would do in that exact scenario you want to improve. Be specific. Then set aside a preparation session to upgrade your system, whether that's your studio, your technique, or your mind, so that you can test them out in your next practice session. When you activate this deliberate, focused feedback loop of practice, perspective, and preparation, you'll get better and more creative with shocking consistency. Principle 5. Okay, if you're a philosophy major, please forgive me for mangling this concept, but we need to reference Aristotle to help you become a better producer. He shared this concept called entelechy, which suggests there is an inherent potential within everyone and everything which will naturally emerge when the right conditions are present. The classic embodiment of this is the idea that an acorn naturally, automatically becomes an oak tree as soon as it has soil, sunlight, and water. And you will get so much better, so much faster at producing music, not just when you grind it out, but when you put yourself in the right environment, around the right people, in the right creative and professional culture. Principle 6. One way to create the right conditions for growth is being very careful who you play your music to. Some folks mean well and tell us everything we're doing is amazing. And others, they can't wait to undermine you. Either way, it's not actually that helpful. So if you're serious about improving, find experienced people who understand where you're at. That means they understand both what stage of production your song is in and at what stage of development you are in. They'll be able to help you focus on the part of your process that will pay maximum dividends for your song, for your growth, and they'll help you strategically improve across time. Now, I host regular live track feedback sessions and group discussions in my program, and I love seeing how quickly producers improve when they are guided to strategically focus their energies. But regardless of who you're getting feedback from, make sure you choose people who are constructive and passionate about helping you consistently get better. Principle 7. For the best part of a century, the ultimate environment to grow into a world-class producer has been the traditional recording studio, where your responsibilities are gradually increased over years, from coiling cables to producing albums. This way, you get to develop skills, sensitivities, and wisdom through an extended process of osmosis and experience. The sad reality, though, is that these opportunities have been shrinking for years as technology and the industry changes and studios close down. But if you ever have the chance to work in a production team, whether you're an entry-level runner or being pulled in as a highly specialized engineer, programmer, arranger, whatever, just grab it with both hands. Having experienced ears monitoring your work and seeing others in your team in their zone of genius will make you improve daily. Principle 8. The flip side, though, of all those old school studios closing down is that now you have infinitely more freedom to make music on your own. But when you're always working on your own, it is very easy to get stuck in a rut. So a great way to get a fresh dose of inspiration, to see your studio with new eyes, to shake up your normal process and pick up a ton of new tips along the way, is just to collaborate with other producers and make new music together. Collaboration is a juicy subject which we can unpack another time, but when you practice judgment release and allow space for new and different music to emerge, you'll be amazed at the knock-on effects when you go back to doing your own work. Principle 9. Speaking of nearly infinite freedom to make music on your own, we need to talk about the paradoxical trap that can prevent you from improving. Writing, producing, and mixing one song, start to finish, is a relay race of specialist skills. But if you are trying to learn and improve at each of those skills as you go, you'll have forgotten the lessons you learned last time out by the time you get to your next song. You're starting with no momentum every single time, and this makes finishing music and improving as a producer take 10 times as long. So, to improve more quickly, constrain your focus through different seasons of your work. Batch together songs that are in similar stages of writing and production, and then only move into the next stage when you've got that whole body of work as good as you can for the stage you're in. This will let you deeply develop skills and sensitivities and give your brain enough time to build up the neural pathways that turn struggle into second nature. Now, for a traditional band, these stages could be writing, pre-production, recording, then mixing, but you can break this down into smaller chunks if need be. Now, I know this can feel counterintuitive and the results aren't always instant, but anytime I see a producer focus in on subsequent waves of writing, then production, then mixing, they make infinitely more progress. They finish way more music, and they wind up becoming better producers than when they'd been trying to do everything all at the same time. Principle 10. But you can actually take this a step further and unlock an even higher level of growth and quality in your music. One of the most common problems I see with producers I'm coaching is that they want to finish an album or an EP, but it just feels like this endless amount of work. They're often overwhelmed, and that can result in finding yourself in like that dark playground of procrastination. Without fail, though, the fastest way to remove this bottleneck has been matching my producers with someone else who is a specialist in a part of the production process that they find either too time-consuming, too stressful, or that they just haven't mastered yet. Some examples are Joel in Ohio worked with Jamie in London to offload 18 songs of vocal editing. Bryce in Texas got Oliver in Vienna to do additional production and mixing, and then Oliver likewise got Bryce to help him finish up his lyrics. So traditionally, great records were made when that relay race of brilliant specialists all brought their A game to a song. And when you choose to let someone brilliant contribute to your music, you're actually creating more space for your own higher creative self to step forward. And in every case where I've seen a producer open up and collaborate like this, they make a way better record, faster, and everyone involved has a great time. Principle 11. So we've all noticed that there's this emerging wave of what I'll call like black box tools in music production. They can create pretty remarkable sonic transformations, and they just give you a couple of well thought out controls on the front panel so that you don't have to worry about the complexity of what they're doing under the hood. But here's the thing. Everything that we do in the studio falls into one of three dimensions. Engineers call them frequency, amplitude, and time, and musicians call them pitch, dynamics, and rhythm. And as a producer, you're gonna wanna master those dimensions. So any technology that just does it all for you is like denying you the chance to develop mastery yourself. There's a lot of nuance and edge cases here, but basically, take the short-term hit for the long-term gain and remove those crutches from your system. Principle 12. Okay, now this is a big one because there is one single skill above all that I personally believe is the most powerful capability for any producer to develop. And it seems to be the one that people are talking about the least. It's not sidechain compression, it's not sound design, it's not complex bussing or even music theory. Instead, I think every producer, regardless of genre, should be obsessed with arrangement. Now, I'm not talking about string or orchestral arrangements here, that's a good one for a specialist, but for us as producers, arrangement is the art and science of changing sound across time to create emotional effects in your listener. It's the skill that has the most impact on any record. It's the skill that makes your production stand head and shoulders above everyone else. And it's also the skill that's the hardest to make content about on platforms like YouTube or to write about in music magazines. Now, before you feel overwhelmed that there's another vast area of music production to stress about, you can actually make huge leaps forward in this arena very simply. Just choose a song, grab a pen and a notepad, and sketch out the structure of the song the first time you listen through. Play it down a few more times and write in the details about what's happening in each section. What instruments come in? Which ones drop out? When and how do their parts change? With every listen you make, more and more will be revealed. You'll start noticing patterns and how powerful simple arrangement techniques can be. And you'll also develop a grab bag of frameworks and methods that you can start applying to your own music. Principle 13. At the start of this video, we talked about how painful it is to feel that the music coming out of your speakers doesn't match what you hear in your head. And I struggled with this for decades. I used to try these elaborate systems of invented notation. I took endless voice memos, but every time I tried to turn those ideas into reality, I wound up paralyzed and defeated. Because within a few minutes of hearing the wrong thing coming out of the speakers, the idea in your head just gets drowned out and you lose it forever. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. So here's the tough reality. Now, maybe some people are able to instantly make what they hear in their head, but personally, that's not an ability I've ever been able to develop. So if you're like me, then I'd love to share this change in approach, which might just unlock a new creative superpower for you forever. We're going to get a tiny bit mystical, so bear with me, okay? Now, imagine that the universe has a secret radio station and you are the only person in the world who can hear it. And rather than trying to make sound-alikes, just let that music inspire you as a producer. Just like that previous arrangement exercise, notice the underlying methods that the universe is using. Oh, they've got some crusty drums hinting at a dancehall rhythm, but that's juxtaposed against analog pads and a syncopated acoustic arpeggio. Let's try using that framework next time we're in the studio. This lets your sessions become a process of curiosity. You've got a strong starting point, a concept to kick off from, techniques to try. But you can stay present and explore the music that emerges in your session instead of stressing about catching it before it's gone. When you do this, the universe will continue to collaborate with you throughout your session. And as long as you're listening closely, she'll always whisper in your ear what she wants you to do next. So, when this new relationship to the music you hear in your head is layered on top of that release in judgment, your targeted skill development, and the entelechy of natural growth through the environment of the people you surround yourself with, it becomes inevitable that you'll build your own deep discography of resonant world-class music that attracts your ideal audience and opportunities. Now that you have this map to improve as a producer, you've got a couple of choices about what to do next. First, if you're curious to work more actively with me to unlock your creative potential in the studio, there's a link you can hit below. Or if you want to watch another video, watch this one here, which will walk you through a simple change you can make in your own studio that will make writing, producing, and mixing faster, more creative, and more fun. Thanks for hanging out.